First of all, I would never call myself a Kobe stopper. I think at my best, I was a human yellow light. Okay, at my best, it's a house of horrors when you got to lace them up against that guy.
You faced each other 44 times, right? He won 24 of those battles. Your team won 20 of those battles. What was your mindset just going into a game?
You know, I'll never forget when the schedule comes out in August. You circle the date where the Lakers come to town and when you go to LA, because you know those are long nights. Those are long nights. I'll just never forget the feeling of driving to Staples Center in LA and just having those butterflies in your stomach, because this dude, he was different. And you never knew this was the night he decided, you know what, I'm going to try to embarrass the guy guarding me, which I think he tried to do a lot. But of all the things I miss from playing and the emotions, you know, I miss my teammates and winning. But I miss that anxiety I got when I had to stop, try to stop Kobe.
He certainly took umbrage with anyone that was labeled a quote unquote Kobe stopper. And it feels like you kind of went out of your way to avoid that particular language. And we're almost kind of like killing him with kindness, right? When you were playing against him.
That was my plan. Look, Kobe took the smallest slight as motivation. I tried to almost play like Eeyore. And every time, you know, I had a good game against Kobe and he missed a ton of shots, I said, man, he just missed shots. I'm a lucky guy.
Kobe Bryant has 18 points, but he's getting nothing easy. How are you able to make everything difficult for him tonight?
Well, it's tough. He's one of the greatest players of all time, and trying to make him work. He's going to score his points. He's that good.
I tried to be as passive and docile to him as possible. And on inside, I was, you know, a raging bull, and I wanted to beat him more than I wanted to beat anybody. But I never wanted him to see me be aggressive or take that challenge. I thought that was my best way of trying to guard him, trying to stop him. And after his passing, I had never read his book, Mamba Mentality, and he actually dedicated a page to me, which, you know, gives me goosebumps just thinking about it and talking about that game within the game within the game. And he knew that I was trying to be passive, that I was trying to downplay how bad I wanted to beat him. And it makes that story even better. That he knew that I knew that he knew. And I knew that he knew that I knew. The mental gymnastics that we played, the game of cat and mouse, there was nothing like it from a physical standpoint, but even a higher level thinking, a mental game.
Was there anyone even remotely close that you had to guard in your career that made you go through all of these things that you were going through to just try to match up with him?
Not on the mental level. You know, obviously guarded Trace McGrady in his prime and Manu Ginobili, LeBron, Carmelo Anthony. I guarded Iverson, you know, I mean, all like physically just unbelievable scorers. None of those guys had this like Kobe did. And that's what took every ounce of my concentration and my effort and courage really to try to stop him.
How many times did you make him become more inefficient than normally?
You always remember the ones that got away from you. You know, the 50-point games and the opening stuff got Sports Center. But I like to think over the course of my career, I made him work. And if you look at the shot profile that he took, I think it was a little different against me. I did a pretty good job of trying to keep him off the line and just make him hit shots. And so he had some big games. He had some games where not so great. You know, I'll never forget the game when I played for the Rockets and knew the 22-game winning streak. And I knew Kobe was coming to Houston to end the streak. Pau Gasol was out that game. So I'm like, oh, Lord, this dude's going to shoot the ball 40 times. And that was the famous hand in the face game. And that's where, you know, I had always done that my entire career, but the hand in the face, that's where I gained fame. And, you know, Kobe, he left it all out there. I've never been as tired after that game as I was that day. And I think he scored 20-something points. We took a ton of shots and we won the game. And that's all I cared about. And so that was one day where the process, it worked. I try not to get too caught up in the results, but I was happy with the results that day.
The hand in the face was certainly your patented move. How did he react to that the first time you implemented it against him?
You know, Kobe was such an amazing competitor. He did not think that anything could affect him, right? And so I tried to use that against him because, look, I was, obviously I was trying to block the vision. But for Kobe, I knew that the only way he could prove that the hand in the face wouldn't work was to take more dribble jumpers, which was, statistically his weakest shot on the floor. It was still, 45% shot, which is still like, top 10 in the league, whatever. But that is not like these other shots he takes at the rim, in transition, at the free throw line. And so all I wanted to do was kind of just push that button enough to say, you know what, Kobe, without telling him, we never talk trash. I said, try to beat the hand in the face. And he did. And he did. And sometimes he did beat the hand in the face.
So you're telling me he never engaged with you as far as trash talk was concerned?
We never talked. I have never had a conversation with Kobe outside the arena, and I think it was part of that mental game. Now some days Kobe would come up to me before the game, give me a big hug, and like smile and like tell a joke, and then the next day I play him and he'd be cold as ice. He wouldn't even look at me, wouldn't shake my hand before the game, and that was the mental game that we played with each other. So I never engaged him. I never tried to engage him. I never tried to butter him up. I never tried to rile him up. I literally just tried to do the old rope-a-dope, and that was my best technique.
Is there any story that you remember, even though it wasn't you necessarily engaging with him?
Best story I ever heard was from Mike Miller when he played with T-Mac in Orlando. T-Mac was just torching Kobe this game. I think he had like 40 points through three quarters. Started the fourth quarter. They were shooting a free throw. And I think T-Mac shooting a free throw. And Kobe turns to Mike Miller and says, you know what the difference between me and him is? He's done. I'm just getting started. Kobe goes on to score like 20 in the quarter and like wins the game going away. And I'm just like, that's the greatest story I've ever heard of all time. That's the type of dude Kobe was, man. I mean, there's very few guys who could tell that story and pull it off.
What was it like to face him in the playoffs, and how did your preparation change, if at all?
There was no better challenge. There's no better challenge, and that's why you play as a competitor and trying to figure this guy out. And like I said, we took those guys to 7 games.
That was the Artest team, right? That he played with you that year? So that was the elbow series, correct?
As much as I tried to be passive and try to play the old, rope-a-dope, Ron was just the opposite, all right? Ron liked to get in there and stir things up. And, he let Kobe know, like, hey, I'm here, and we're not going anywhere. And that's what I love about Ron. He wasn't afraid of anybody. He saw enough after that series that it compelled him to go play the Lakers the next year.
Again, I know you don't like the term Kobe stoppers, but the guys that defended him, did you guys ever talk about the exchanges you had guarding him?
First of all, I would never call myself a Kobe stopper. I think at my best, I was a human yellow light, okay, at my best. It's a house of horrors when you got to lace them up against that guy. And so the less you try to relive those memories, the better.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.